FBI and New York police departments are facing new calls to finally open their records related to the assassination of Malcolm X. This comes after the release of a deathbed confession of a former undercover New York police officer who admitted to being part of a broad New York police and FBI conspiracy targeting Malcolm. So, Ben Crump, you ended the last segment where we want to talk at the end of this segment, and that is the issue of what evidence is out there that the police or the FBI is hiding and what you are calling for. It's interesting that last week a court ruled that the disciplinary records of New York police going back for years must be released. De Blasio said they're releasing them, the mayor of New York. Not clear if they're being released at this moment. That's disciplinary records. And the police unions have been fighting this tooth and nail. What are you calling for in this case?
Well, Amy, thank you for covering this important matter as well. And to Reggie Wood, who has put forth this dying declaration letter from his cousin, Ray Wood, and documented all the corroborating evidence in the memoir that he and Lisette researched to show that everything in that letter is true. It is legitimate, and that's very important to help exonerate all those black people who were wrongfully convicted by Ray Wood's work, all those people who have been conspired against by the NYPD and the FBI, whether that be Walter Bowe, Khalid Saeed, whether it be Thomas Johnson, who was picked up, who wasn't even at the Audubon ballroom, but to ensure that Ray's cover would not be blown, was arrested and served almost 3 decades in prison for a crime of killing Malcolm X that they all knew he did not do. And also Tupac Shakur's mother, Fannie Shakur, part of the Panther 21, who Ray Wood testified against, saying that they tried to blow up New York monuments, and therefore, quite literally, she was in prison when she had her prince, Tupac Shakur, because of NYPD and the FBI were conspiring to wrongfully convict them. And as Ray Wood said in his letter, their job was to discredit civil rights organizations and black leaders. And that's why we're calling for a Malcolm X commission to be convened by the United States Congress. So his daughters, but also the people who was affected by these felonious actions of NYPD and the FBI to target black people, can be exposed. Because, Amy, the past is prologue. As Reggie Wood and I have often taught, the same way they targeted Malcolm X for saying that black people deserve equality by any means necessary, they are targeting young Black Lives Matter activists today, labeling them as black identity extremists. And so we need to have our federal government be held to account for trying to stop black people from exercising their First Amendment rights, but more importantly, for being able to declare that Black Lives Matter over and over again.
Explosive new information involving the assassination of civil rights activist Malcolm X 50 years ago today.
I am relieved that I am able to share this truth with the world today.
New details have emerged. According to this deathbed note penned by a former undercover NYPD officer sent to infiltrate and undermine the man and the movement, the letter says both the FBI and the NYPD were involved.
The FBI, and the NYPD's involvement in the assassination of Malcolm X. To prevent the gunman from coming into the building, forced to betray his people.
The Breakfast Club.
I saw this letter that was released from Ray Wood, the FBI agent that went undercover that actually framed and was responsible for Malcolm X working in conjunction to get him assassinated. So what were your thoughts when you saw that?
Angela, I can say that I'm just as curious as you are
uncovering the truth. We always wanted to know what the truth was surrounding my father's assassination.
Of my handlers, I was told to encourage leaders and members of the civil rights groups to commit felonious acts.
Ray Wood is his name. Lawyers say after carrying the burden of his decisions for decades, the details were placed in the hands of a cousin, Reggie, to be released after his death.
He was a good man that was tricked and forced to betray his own people.
If I don't do what I need to do, there are consequences. So what he decided to do was step the game up.
His daughter heard a letter for the very first time that they say is evidence that the NYPD and the FBI conspired to have their father assassinated.
We're just as curious as you are to uncovering the truth.
Absolutely.
It has been a long journey, Ilyasa, 3 years almost. And I know we've talked so much about getting to this moment, but everything happens in due time. Over the last 3 years, every day, every week, every month, we have been unearthing new evidence, evidence of people never having spoken before about what they witnessed during those turbulent times in the 1960s.
In the press, do your research. Do your research. Don't just take what they say. Do your research.